Today we're talking titles, which is one of my favorite topics in the world, specifically some of my favorite titles. I want to break down a little bit of why I think they work, or at least why they work for me. I feel like a good title should do two things. One, it should relate to the book, which seems obvious, but it's worth pointing out. Two, it should entice the reader to pick the book up. That's what a good title does, but a great title, I think, should have something more. It should almost be like the surprise at the bottom of the cereal box. I don't know if they still even do that anymore because I haven't had cereal in about a decade, but it's like that. So we're going to break down some of my favorite titles, looking at how and why it entices a reader and what's that little extra something that it has. One of the most common titling practices is to use the name of a character as the title, typically the protagonist. My favorite example of character name as title is Props. No, that's not the name of the book. We're going to be using Props. Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Interestingly, in this case, Rebecca is not actually the protagonist, but that's kind of also the point. Prior to the beginning of the story, Rebecca has died. And that's not a spoiler, I promise, it's in the summary. But she is at the heart of everything that happens in this book. In fact, she so overwhelms the story that the protagonist isn't even given a name of her own. She's known simply as the new Mrs. De Winter after she marries Rebecca's widower. The title works because it is a significant character's name, but it works on a couple of levels, and that's what makes it interesting, particularly after you've read the book. It reflects that core theme of Rebecca being overwhelming. Similar to the practice of using a character name as the title of the book is using a thing or a place. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern is my favorite example. Additionally, one of my favorite covers. It's so beautiful. The Night Circus in this example is a place, it's a setting, but it's more than that. I would argue that the Night Circus is a character all on its own. Like Rebecca being about Rebecca, the Night Circus is about the Night Circus. There are characters and plot and conflict, sure, just like any other book. But all of it revolves around the Cirque du Rêve. It's fancy French for the Night Circus. It should also be noted that in both of these cases, the titles lead to obvious questions. Who is Rebecca? What is the Night Circus? And there's nothing quite like a question to entice readers. Another of my favorite titles is The Waking Dark. That's not in frame. The Waking Dark by Robin Wasserman. This title also inspires immediate questions. What is this dark? What does that mean? Why is it waking? Why now? Who's waking it? What I really love about this title is that it immediately gives you a sense of genre, horror, and you cannot tell me that title is not creepy as all get out. While we're on the topic of title signposting genre, let's talk a little bit about fantasy. Sometimes it seems like there's a formula for a fantasy title. Insert certain words and you're golden. Shadow, dark, ice, magic, sun, star, moon, blood, bone, etc. Having said that, you can absolutely have a fantasy title using those words and it stand out. Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo does this really well, I think. If you read the summary, you immediately have an understanding of why Shadow's in the title, and there's some nuance to it as well. What I really like, though, is that you don't have an understanding of what bone means until you've read it. I think there's something really intriguing about having one half of the equation and not the other, particularly when you're using such common expected words. Additionally, I like the construction of blank and blank. It's a familiar, pleasing, simple, rhythmic construction. It's also a pretty common construction, or at least it's becoming more so in young adult, particularly ones that use ampersands, which A+ titling people, I like ampersands. Keep using them. This is one of my favorite uses of that construction, Etiquette and Espionage by Gail Carriger. First, I have a very hard time resisting anything with some good alliteration. And second, I think this title really works because it combines two seemingly unrelated and potentially incongruous ideas into one concept. As a reader, I see those two words put together and I think, why and how, and tell me more. And now I'm really excited because I'm going to share with you my absolute favorite title of all time ever in the whole world ever. Sadly, I don't actually have this book on me because I lent it to a friend because I love it so much. It's almost never on my shelf. So the book is The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Katherine Emvelin. Firstly, that's just a freaking amazing title. Like, that just sounds awesome. But more importantly, what I really like about this title is it sounds like the rest of the book. It's got the voice and it's got the style and the rhythm and the lyricism that Catherine Valente's writing had. It's got whimsy and action and adventure all wrapped up into one little title. Well, not so little, but one title. It tells me a lot about the character and also inspires a lot of questions. Does he use more than an average number of words in the title? Yes. Does that lessen the impressiveness of how much it's able to accomplish, not at all. The second book has an equally exciting title, and for a lot of the same reasons, and I actually have this one on me, so I'm going to show it to you. It's called The Girl Who Fell Beneath Fairyland and Let the Rebels Sing. And look at the gorgeous illustrations! Ugh, I just love you. That's creepy. Why am I creepy in all my videos? So those are a few of my favorite titles, and I'd love to hear some of yours, so leave me a comment, and then like, share, subscribe, etc., and I will see everybody next week. I feel like Vanna White when I do this.